Hey there, if you saw my last video where I talked about the iPhone SE 3rd generation that I got from Walmart for $150, you might remember me talking about how much fun I was having playing Call of Duty Mobile. Well, I ended up having so much fun, but admittedly, the extremely tiny screen of the iPhone SE kind of made it pretty difficult to consistently play it. I certainly powered through, and the level of performance that it gives me with the A15 chip in here is really great. It's just the display is so small. So my solution was to essentially pick up the best price to performance iPad I could find on the market right now. And that does appear to be the iPad 10th generation. Now this model is a few years old at this point. In fact, it's actually rocking a older chip than what is in the iPhone SE here. But at $300, this is one of the cheapest new iPads that you can buy on the market right now. It isn't the cheapest though. There is one model below this that is the iPad 9th generation, which essentially still has the older design that is similar to the iPhone SE. It even has like the button and everything. The problem with that one is that it rocks a chip that's even older than the one that's in here, and I'm pretty sure that one was not going to have a good time trying to play Call of Duty Mobile. I did actually record an unboxing and a first impressions of getting it out of the box and everything, but the problem is that footage got corrupted on my camera, so I couldn't use it. So I have to essentially talk about it to you now after I've been using it for about a day and a half. And from what I can tell you of my experience on here, I am thoroughly impressed, and I'm glad that I went with this one. You can see here I went with the yellow gold color, though in certain light it actually has like a green tint to it. Personally, I actually really like the way it looks. I kind of went with the yellow just because I wanted to get a very bright, almost meme-ish type color, because I've never really gotten a device like this. And an interesting thing is that the USB-C port, and by the way, it does use USB-C, but the USB-C port is actually colored yellow on the inside. They really went all out on that. Honestly, I'm kind of a fan of it. I really enjoy it. The design is certainly far better than the iPad 9th generation. My mother is actually the one that has that iPad. She's had it for a little while now, and it's fine. It's perfectly serviceable for what she wants to do, because she's mostly just going on Facebook and at most maybe watching YouTube videos or occasionally maybe playing some very basic mobile game. My mom isn't exactly trying to go for some crazy kill streaks or anything on Call of Duty Mobile, so she's fine. Me, on the other hand, I did need that extra performance. One thing to keep in mind though is that I did not download all of the HD textures and all of that I did when I downloaded on the iPhone SE. The reason being is two reasons. I was kind of, one, afraid that this wasn't really going to perform well with the high quality textures and all that, and two, I did not want all of my storage space eaten up, because one of the downsides of this is the fact that it is only 64 gigabytes of storage, and that does make this very hard to recommend as a gaming device, because those 64 gigabytes do get eaten pretty quickly. Even without all of that extra content, this is still taking up almost 7 gigabytes of space. Now, of course, losing out on that much storage space, bad enough. Apps in general, even surprisingly light apps, end up using up about a gigabyte or even sometimes 2 gigabytes. That means that if you want to use your iPad for gaming, it practically has to be a dedicated gaming device. And that's not exactly ideal. Of course, I did get the iPad as mostly a gaming device because I did want to play Call of Duty Mobile on a bigger screen, and overall it does do a good job of that. I could definitely tell that the frame rate is not as consistent as it is on the iPhone SE, but it's by no means a bad experience. And kind of embarrassingly, I have sunk quite a few hours into playing this on here already. So I think that that's pretty much the mark of a quality gaming device when you really just cannot put it down. Now that said, this at $300 isn't exactly as insane of a deal as the iPhone SE, because the iPhone SE is a faster chip than this, while also beating out pretty much all of its price competitors. This, on the other hand, it definitely beats out any other Android tablet in terms of raw performance at this price category, but the problem is you end up falling into the Apple trap of getting hit with endless amounts of $100 increments because you might just want a little bit more storage, because the only options in terms of storage here are either 64 gigabytes or 256. Of course, part of the problem of using something like an iPad as a gaming device is the fact that kind of limited in the selection of games. Luckily, when you buy this, Apple actually does end up including a free 3 months of Apple Arcade. Apple Arcade is a little interesting. We go to the arcade page here. You can see that they have a wide selection of games. Essentially, Apple Arcade works very similar to Game Pass, where you pay a subscription fee and you have access to a wide assortment of games. And the idea here is that these are supposed to be full complete games, no microtransactions. If they are games that essentially have a free version with ads or microtransactions or anything like that, all of that is disabled and you have access to pretty much everything. And I gotta say, there is actually some pretty interesting stuff here, though there is a lot of just absolute garbage for the most part. It's not like they're really curating a super high quality list of games. Some of these things are really just about as bad as the vast majority of games that you'll find on the App Store, but you do at least avoid any kind of ads or any kind of nagging you about microtransactions. So far, I've been playing 3 games off of there. I have started playing Stardew Valley, since they do have a version that you can play off of the Apple Arcade, which has been actually really nice. I've really been enjoying that. I've also been playing some Slay the Spire. It is a fantastic indie card game. I really recommend you check that one out. It's on PC. This is just a port of that to run on iOS, and my god, is it so much fun. I've played so much Slay the Spire on PC, and being able to play it natively on an iPad is actually really rock solid. One of the more interesting ones is Oceanhorn 2, which seems to be about as full-fledged of a game as you could possibly get on an iPad. It very much feels like it is meant to be a clone of a Legend of Zelda game, and it plays well enough. I don't know if I'd continue to play it. I haven't been fully hooked on it yet, but presentation-wise and overall quality truly does feel like it's actually a, I wouldn't say AAA game, but definitely like a AA game. While all the natively supported games are very nice and interesting to take a look at, another great thing about being able to use a tablet like this is that you get support for Moonlight. And this version essentially lets you use Moonlight, which is just a way for you to remote access your gaming computer on whatever device that you want. And from there, you'll be able to access your PC from your own home network pretty easily. You could either launch straight into Steam or go right into the desktop. And the performance is great. I actually was playing some Call of Duty Black Ops over this just to play through the zombies, and it was really great. I'm definitely gonna have to look through the Apple Arcade and try to see if there are any really high quality games in here, because I have 3 free months of it and it is $7 a month before tax to have this. And so far I haven't played anything that seems worthwhile enough to pay that subscription, but of course I have only had it for a day and a half. I'll have to play around with that. That said though, I am excited to actually play some games on here. It really seems like mobile gaming has changed a lot from when I was younger. Back when I had my iPad, this was about the pinnacle of gaming at the time, really. So it's very interesting to see that mobile gaming has evolved enough that you can get some full-fledged games on here. And of course, with the support of in-home streaming, you also do get access to your full desktop from a tablet. It's really great, and I think that at this price point, this is the most ideal iPad to get if you want to do some gaming on a budget. But as I said, this isn't as great of a deal as this little thing right here. So if you need a mobile handheld gaming system, this right here is such a great value, because for $150 you get a chip that is more powerful than what is in this iPad right here. If you get yourself one of those clamp adapters that you essentially use to mount a phone onto an Xbox controller, you pretty much now have a handheld gaming device that is going to be incredible. Though again, the screen is really tiny. I mean, it's a night and day difference here. I can totally understand paying more for the screen size, even if you're taking a hit in terms of performance. But again, you fall into that iPad buying trap where you're just going to get squeezed for as much as you're willing to shell out, while this is still just an insane value. That said though, I'm going to keep messing around with the iPad here. I'm going to try to see what we can get done with this, because really there just seems to be so much power here that I want to see what happens happens if we try to push this thing to its limits in 2024. Because for a lot of people out there, this is the only computer that they have. Now, if they're getting this for Christmas this year, this might be the only computer that they have. They don't have a laptop, they don't have a PC, they might have a phone, but this is really the only big screen experience that they'll have. So I really want to know what it's like to have that kind of an experience, because it's so different from what I grew up with. So I want to know what it's like to have to use this for everything. So stay tuned for that. But overall, as a gaming device, I honestly think that this is a really rock solid deal. Though think about the storage that you're going to need, because you might end up having to uninstall games all the time. But I'll catch you guys in the next one.